Hey guys, how's it going? We are halfway through the year, so you know what that means. It is time for the mid-year book Freakout tag. I love this tag. I love when it comes around every year. The original video has been set to private, but I have all of the questions in the description down below if you're looking for them. But this tag is a classic. You're probably already familiar with the concept, so let's just get right into it. Question number 1. The best book you've read so far in 2026. This year, this is the easiest question on the tag. That is The Odds by Lindsay Puckett. This is the story of Begonia, a young disabled girl who is being raised in a magical nursing home. Everyone there has an oddity, basically a magical quirk or ability, but if you don't get your oddity by your 11th birthday, you are essentially exiled, you are sent to live with the normies, you forget all about magic and all of these people. Begonia's birthday is only a few days away and she hasn't gotten her oddity yet. Also, she's dealing with her disability, chronic pain, everything that entails. The nursing home is in serious danger of shutting down, and there's a ghost attacking people. I rated it a 13 out of 10, and it deserves every single point. This is a perfect middle grade story for all of us weirdos, all of us oddballs. Begonia is a perfect main character because she's allowed to be imperfect. She fails and she has so many flaws and she messes up all the time. And I love that she's allowed to. And the rest of the cast of characters are also so amazing. All of her grandparents are a friggin' hoot. This whole book made me legitimately laugh out loud. It made me cry. It made me feel like I was a little kid falling in love with reading all over again. This book was voicey and silly and endearing and gut-wrenching and just magical, and by far my favorite book I've read this year. Question number 2, the best sequel you read in 2026. I've actually only read one sequel this year. I am in the middle of another one. It's my reading on break at work book, but I'm not even halfway through that one. So by default, I guess it has to be the Sinister Booksellers of Bath by Garth. This is the second book in the Left-Handed Booksellers of London series. I liked this book well enough. I rated it like a 7.5 out of 10. Garth is one of my favorite authors, and this is very Garth. The series itself is about a secret magical society, kind of hidden in plain sight as booksellers. It's set in London in like the 1980s. These booksellers have magical abilities and ancient knowledge, and they're basically kind of keeping the real world and this secret magical world separate, making sure they don't interfere too much with each other. I enjoy the series, but the second book specifically is very much a second book in a trilogy in all of the worst ways. It's fine. It's basically just magical shenanigans with the same characters that we've met in the first book. But nothing really happens. We don't advance the greater plot. By the time the third book comes out, I don't think anything that happened in this book is really going to be too important or impactful. So it was fine, but I think that if I would have read more sequels, I don't think it would be on my favorites list. Question number 3, a new release you haven't read yet but want to. The newest release on my TBR is Thanks for Watching by Kate Kavanaugh. My copy arrived 3 or 4 weeks ago, but May was just a really busy month and I got almost no reading done, so I haven't got into it yet, but I'm hoping to get to it maybe next week. This is a thriller about influencers who are sent on this exclusive brand deal. They're at this island resort kind of place, and they start dying off one by one and slowly realize that there is a murderer amongst them. And also no Wi-Fi. I've been looking forward to this story since even before Kate had her book deal, so I am very eager to get to it. Also, this cover is gorgeous. I loved it so much that I had to dye my hair to match it. Question number 4, most anticipated release from the second half of the year. That is going to be Bitter Bones by Lindsay Puckett. I've been excited about this book ever since Lindsay started talking about it, but after reading The Odds, I cannot wait. This one leans more horror, which I'm really excited to see. Our main character has too many bones, and there are these creepy haunted dolls that people say may or may not have murdered his mother, who left 8 years ago. And now he's going to try to find his mother, and he has to evade somebody known as the Button Eye Man. Sign me up. I mean, I am signed up. I've pre-ordered the book, but you know what I mean. That concept with the Lindsay friggin' Puckett execution, I am so excited. Question number 5, biggest disappointment. Unfortunately, Hollow Pike by Juno Dawson. It wasn't awful, but Juno Dawson is one of my all-time favorite authors, and this is actually the only book I've ever read of hers that I didn't rate 5 stars. And I actually only gave it a 6.5 out of 10. To be fair, this was her debut, and I kind of went in with the wrong expectations, but still very disappointing. We're following a teenager named Liz who moves to a new town to go to a new school to escape some type of drama. And when she gets to the new town, she recognizes the woods from this reoccurring nightmare that she's been having. And then she hears these rumors of witchcraft in the town, and someone turns out dead in the woods. and now she's just thrust into the middle of this weird situation. My main problem with this, when I was looking into it, I didn't realize that it was YA. I missed it being that she was going to a new school, and when I read the synopsis and saw that she was moving to a new town to start over, start fresh, I thought it was like a job or career thing. So when I started reading the book and realized it was just high school drama, and really like petty, childish high school drama, I didn't really care. Like, the stakes just felt so much lower to me as somebody in their 30s. And to be fair, like Clean and Meat Market, Wonderland, those are all YA, but they read like adult. They're much older, more serious, kind of darker YA. This is very stereotypical YA. It's very high school. If I would have read this in high school, this may have been one of my favorite books at the time. But reading it for the first time in my 30s, I just couldn't relate. I just found it silly. It also didn't help that the plot was kind of wonky. Some of the pacing was weird. Again, it was her debut, and knowing how amazing Juno Dawson's writing has become, and 6.5 out of 10 isn't a horrible rating. Like, that's still technically 3 stars, or 3.25, I guess. And again, if I would have read this as a teenager, I'm sure I would have loved it. But just knowing how amazing Juno Dawson's books are nowadays, and what I come to expect from a Juno Dawson book, this one was definitely disappointing. Question number 6, biggest surprise. This was a hard question because nothing felt that surprising, but I think I'm going to go with A Snake Falls to Earth by Darcy Little Badger. I expected to like this. I went in not knowing much. I purposely didn't want to read too much of the synopsis. The little bit I did know about the concept really intrigued me, but I didn't expect to fall in love with it as much as I did. I ended up rating this a 10.5 out of 10. We're following Nina, a Leap and Apache girl from our world, and Ollie, a snake spirit from the land of spirits and monsters, and how their paths eventually cross while they are both trying to fight for people they love. It's heartwarming and beautiful, but difficult and just gut-wrenching at times. It's about family and magic and home, and it is just a delight. But not in a everything is sunshine and rainbows kind of way. I read this for my snake-themed reading vlog. I'll leave it linked above and below if you're curious, because I had a blast with that video. I read some amazing books in that vlog, but this was by far my favorite. But if you want more of my thoughts while I was reading it, you can check out that video. I just loved this so much. I loved the reading experience. I loved the story. I loved the characters. I loved the way it made me feel. I thought the animal spirits in particular were done so well. They were so true to the animals they represented without being like a caricature or stereotypes. It was just done with such love and care and thought. Like, this whole book was so well done, and I just had a blast reading it. Like I said, I knew I was gonna like it, but I didn't expect it to really capture my heart the way it did. So I guess that's kind of surprising. Question number 7, favorite new author, either a debut or just new to you. I was looking through my list and I actually haven't read a lot of new authors this year, so I'm gonna go with Nova Rensuma, the author of The Walls Around Us. I have been trying to get my hands on some of her other books, but my library doesn't have any of them. I think I'm gonna pick up her newest book, Wake the Wild Creatures, I think it's called, next time I'm out book shopping, because I loved this story, but specifically the writing style, the tone of it, the voice, the way the story was structured. I really want to check out more from this author. And I also loved this story. I rated it a 10 out of 10. It's a kind of weird, dark, paranormal story. We're following 2 point of views. Violet is a ballerina who's about to get into a dream school and has everything that she ever wants, and her life is seemingly perfect, but she's keeping quite a few dark secrets. And the other point of view is Amber, an inmate at the Aurora Hills Juvenile Detention Center, who is convicted of murder, and we're following her inside the detention center and some of the other girls and what life is like in there, basically. The 2 girls have nothing in common. They don't know each other. Their only connection is Oriana, who is Violet's best friend and is now in Aurora Hills because she is convicted of killing 2 other ballerinas. Like I said, I loved the writing style so much. It was really thorough and insightful, but still descriptive in like a flowery, kind of dark kind of way. And the story structure itself is really fascinating. The timeline kind of jumps around a little bit. We're working backwards at one point. We're kind of jumping around. You're kind of confused, but in a way that really suits this kind of story. Especially with paranormal elements, I like not fully knowing what's going on. I like being scared alongside the characters. This whole book was just a really fun ride, and I'm really curious to see how the author brings that style to other stories and how that's kind of presented. So definitely an author that I'm curious to read more from. Question number 8, newest fictional crush. I think I'm going to go with Parvene from Girl Serpent Thorn by Melissa Basherdoost. This book is about a princess whose touch is poisonous. It's inspired by Persian mythology, Sleeping Beauty, and Rappaccini's daughter. Parvene is one of the Div, basically a demon from Persian mythology. She gets captured and she's held in the castle, and the princess comes to her looking to find a way to break her curse, basically. A lot of her storyline is very spoilery for the novel itself, but listen, she's a badass, she's a demon, she loves her family, she'll kick the ass of anybody who fucks with someone she loves. She's snarky and she's hot and she has a really strong, maybe skewed sense of justice. What more could you ask for? Happy Pride Month. Question number 9, newest favorite character. I've read a lot of great characters this year, but my favorite would have to be Ollie from A Snake Falls to Earth. Ollie is the snake spirit I mentioned. There he is on the cover. And under this dust jacket, there's little Ollie. And there's his human form. He's specifically a cottonmouth, and I love that precious boy. As someone who's very passionate about snakes, he is perfect. In a lot of stories, even the rare times that the snake-inspired character isn't the villain, they're still depicted as mean or aggressive. In the very least, they're sneaky, conniving, manipulative. That is not how snakes are. Snakes are terrified little noodles who are oftentimes as dumb as the rocks that they're napping on. I mentioned that this book was really good at staying true to the animals themselves, not just the stereotypes that we put on the animals, and Ollie was the best depiction of this. Not only literally, like, he has bad eyesight, like snakes do. When he's getting a feel for his surroundings, he talks about how he tastes it in the air. Like, the little details like that I thought were so much fun. But even personality-wise, he is so anxious, he doesn't want to mess with anybody, he just wants to run away and hide whenever anything happens. And that's what snakes are like. With the exception of a few specific personalities, the vast majority of snakes are not aggressive, they are defensive. Most species of snakes are prey animals, and you can imagine how scary it would be to be a prey animal with one brain cell. You don't even have arms or legs to defend yourself with. You literally only have your mouth and your noodly body, which cannot do any damage to most things. Like, the world is quite scary for snakes, and Ollie just embodied this so well. He was such a precious little scaredy cat. I loved him. I wanted to protect him. Ollie's personality just won me over so quickly. He is a friggin' sweetheart. He is a kind and loving friend. He is gentle. He is caring. And he's trying his best. Question number 10. A book that made you cry. It has to be The Odds again. Roll the clip.
Lindsay. It's so good. It's so good.
This book just hit me so hard in every single feeling. I cried because I was happy. I cried because I was sad. I cried because I was shocked. I cried because I was overwhelmed. The last quarter of this book, I just kept crying on and off. It was such a roller coaster ride. This book just had me by the heartstrings. Where I tabbed it up here, all of the pink tabs are moments I cried at. During my wrap up, when I was talking about this book, I started crying again, just thinking about how much I loved it. In my rating, I gave it a bonus point because of how often it made me cry, and it earned it. I am someone who cries somewhat easily in books. Once I'm invested, I'm in the palm of your hand. But this book exceeded everything with every emotion. Question number 11, a book that made you happy. Okay, hear me out. Grandma's Little Secret by Becca C. Smith. Is this a happy book? No, not really. This is inspired by true events from Becca's childhood when her great aunt murdered her husband and Becca herself almost became a target. She did an amazing documentary on it. I'll leave it linked down below. But that was the inspiration behind this book. Not happy. In the story, our main character is a young girl named Emma. She can see ghosts. She has some, like, psychic abilities. and she learns that her grandmother is a serial killer. She witnesses some stuff, gets thrust into danger, and of course no one believes her except her best friends, and then thrilling, scary adventure ensues. This book leans a lot into 80s nostalgia vibes. Think Goonies, just kids on bikes. There's also references to Narnia, Star Wars. Like, this book feels like Becca. And that's why this book makes me happy, because I love Becca and her personality shines through these pages. And not only that, but after learning so much about Rolf, her great uncle, and how important he was to her and how important he was to so many other people in his life, and just what a wonderful man he seems to be, it also made me happy to see him honored in this way. And it's a sad kind of happiness, because obviously he died. Like, he was murdered and it was horrible. But having this as such a beautiful tribute to him, there's just that glimmer of happiness like deep in your heart underneath all the sadness. Question number 12. Most beautiful book that you've bought or received this year. It doesn't specify that it has to be a book that I've read yet. Hi, Comet. Okay, you're right. The most beautiful thing this year is Comet. Comet, are you the most beautiful thing this year? I did not get you this year. It doesn't specify that it has to be a book that I've read yet, so I'm going with A Dark and Secret Magic by Wallace Kinney. Let's just take a moment to appreciate this. But Comet, don't you think this book is so pretty? Not as pretty as Comet? Oh my goodness. Don't tell Wallace. I know I'm late on the bandwagon with this. It came out during my burnout mental breakdown bonanza, but I did recently buy it. This is my favorite style of cover. When I was catching up on AuthorTube content that I had missed during my hiatus and saw this cover reveal, 2 years after it was revealed, but still, my jaw dropped. This is gorgeous. This is probably one of my all-time favorite covers. The frame, the vines, the pumpkins, the leaves, the cats, the book, the font, just the vibes. This is exactly my cup of tea. This is a witchy book and a love letter to Halloween and the spooky season, and I just feel like this cover encapsulates that so well. Like I said, I haven't read it yet. I bought it pretty recently, but I'm planning to read it sometime this summer when I'm just getting the sunny weather blues and Halloween is just a little bit too far away and I just need a little pick-me-up. I think that this book is going to be perfect for that, and in the meantime, I just get to stare at this beautiful cover. And the last question, question 13, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? So many. I don't have a specific 2026 TBR or anything. My main reading goal is to get my physical TBR down, so any unread books on any of these shelves qualify. Kind of an anticlimactic final answer, but anything, really. And that was it. I really like doing this tag every year. I think it's just a fun excuse to check in, kind of see where your reading's at, reflect on some of my favorites up until now. And like I said, the questions are all going to be in the description if you want to answer them too. But that is going to be it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, please hit the like button to let me know, and subscribe to stay up to date with the rest of my videos and see what the second half of 2026 brings. I post new videos once a week, usually reading or writing related. So I hope to see you guys next time, and until then, have a great day. Bye!